We have quorum. I'd like to invite everybody to this council meeting of Wednesday, December the 19th, a special council meeting. And the first item on the agenda, well, first I'll say who is with us. We have our Co-City Manager, Jonathan Schechter. We have Councillor David Torgman, Councillor Oren Sabag, myself, your Mayor, Mitchell Brownstein, Councillor Dita Burku, Stephen Erdely, Sidney Benizri, Mitch Kajavsky, and our Associate City Manager, Nadia DeFuria. And now for the first item, there's no one here for questions, so we're going to move on to item number 2. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Bylaw 2528, entitled Bylaw 2528 concerning taxes and tariffs of the City of Côte Saint-Luc for the fiscal year 2019 be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried unanimously. And we move to the rest of the items, 3 through 9, which are notice of motions and tabling of draft bylaws. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll go through these one at a time. We'll begin with the first one, item 3. I hereby give notice of motion that Bylaw 2521 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $866,000 for the resurfacing of various roads and sidewalk repairs at various locations belonging to the City of Côte Saint-Luc will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. I further hereby table draft Bylaw 2521 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $866,000 for the resurfacing of various roads and sidewalk repairs at various locations belonging to the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Thank you.
Okay. So just to mention, this is to repave some roads that will be done throughout the 2019 year and for repouring concrete for sections of sidewalk. Next, I'll move on to the next item, number 4. I hereby give notice of motion that Bylaw 2522 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $137,000 to finance the costs, including professional fees, to repair the underpass located on Côte Saint-Luc Road, lot number P1054612 will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. And I hereby table draft Bylaw 2522 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $137,000 to finance the costs, including professional fees, to repair the underpass located on Côte Saint-Luc Road, lot number P1054612. Okay.
Thank you.
And so just to mention, so this is for renovations to take place in the future for the Côte Saint-Luc Road underpass. As previously mentioned, we've done extensive work on the Westminster underpass and the Cavendish underpass. So next year in 2019 is for professional services, with the work to be done, hopefully, the full work to be done, hopefully in the following year. The next one, item 5, I hereby give notice of motion that Bylaw 2523 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $1,523,000 for the purchase and installation of various traffic lights on the Cavendish Blvd corridor and LED streetlights at various locations, including professional services in the territory of the City of Côte Saint-Luc, will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. And I hereby table draft Bylaw 2523 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $1,523,000 for the purchase and installation of various traffic lights and LED streetlights at various locations, including professional services in the territory of the City of Côte Saint-Luc. So just to mention, this is for the process to eventually replace all the streetlights in Côte Saint-Luc with LED lights with light-emitting diodes, which are much more energy efficient. And it's also to look at redoing some of our traffic lights and some new traffic lights in the City of Côte Saint-Luc to make it safer for our residents, both for the drivers and for pedestrians. I'll move on to the next item, item 6. I hereby give notice of motion that Bylaw 2524 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $2,675,000 for various facility upgrades at Kerwin Park will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. And I hereby table draft Bylaw 2524 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $2,675,000 for various upgrades at Kerwin Park. And this, as previously mentioned, is for major renovations to take place in 2019 at Kerwin Park. From the preliminary plans, it looks beautiful, and I look forward to seeing the final product. I'll move on to item 7. I hereby give notice of motion that Bylaw 2525 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $263,000 for the purchase and installation of a garage dome located at 7001 Mackle Road will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. and I hereby table draft bylaw 2525 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $263,000 for the purchase and installation of a garage dome located at 7001 Mackle Road. So this, as previously mentioned, is for a very large dome or very large carport that can hold many vehicles. The goal is to make our public works staff more efficient, especially in wintertime when it comes to snow removal operations. And I'll move on to the next item. Item 8, I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2526 to be titled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $700,000 for the purchase of vehicles and equipment will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. And I hereby table draft bylaw 2526 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $700,000 for the purchase of vehicles and equipment. So this is generally for the lighter vehicles or smaller vehicles, and the list of which is available on our city website. Just as I've mentioned in the past, we still go out to tender for each individual vehicle, and if the price is not reasonable, then we don't necessarily have to purchase that vehicle. It's something we'll hold off, and we'll wait till we get a better price often. I'll move on to item 9. I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2527 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $221,000 for the purchase of heavy vehicles and heavy vehicle equipment will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. And I hereby table draft bylaw 2527 to be entitled Bylaw Authorizing a Loan of $221,000 for the purchase of heavy vehicles and heavy vehicle equipment. And as previously mentioned, we subdivide into lighter or smaller vehicles and heavier vehicles, which are dealt with separately. And so this is, again, for the heavy vehicles. And as mentioned, we still go to tender for each vehicle individually before deciding. And for the next.
Right?
Yeah.
And now we're going on to item number 10, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And should I read the whereas for this?
Well, this one is to vote.
So this-
It's a resolution.
Yeah. So this is basically to, in the search for a new auditor for the city of Côte Saint-Luc. So every few years, we have to go to tender to decide if we're going to continue with the same external auditor. What we do is we look at the qualifications first, and then after that's done, we look at the prices until we get a final overall score for each. And I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc hereby awards a contract for external auditing services pursuant to the terms of tender C-27-18-22 to Deloitte SEN CRL, the lowest conforming bidder at law, for a term covering the fiscal years ending in December 31st, 2018, December 31st, 2019, and December 31st, 2020, for a total price of $130,360 plus tax, that the city hereby reserves its right with respect to the fiscal years ending December 31st, 2021 and December 31st, 2022, that Treasurer Certificate TC 18-0201 dated December 17th, 2018 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting the availability of funds to cover the described expenses for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2018, and that at the beginning of each calendar year of the contract term, the Treasurer shall issue a Treasurer Certificate attesting to the availability of funds at that time to cover the relevant portion of the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So just to mention briefly, we got 2 bids from Deloitte and also from RCGT, which was our previous auditor. As mentioned, the first step is we look at the score of each of the companies. Then we, once they reach at least a minimum threshold score, then we look at the price. The two are calculated into a formula. And in this case, Deloitte was the winning bidder, and we'll be going with Deloitte, starting with the new fiscal year.
So moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. Now I move to adjournment of the meeting. Councillor Torgman, seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.